When the Brooklyn Nets made the James Harden trade and were forced to give up one of the league's best rim protectors in Jarrett Allen, it was apparent that they were going to have a significant struggle defensively, and that's exactly what's happened. This Nets team has the worst defensive rating in NBA history ever since making the Harden trade. However, it hasn't seemed to change the fact that other contenders in the league are still scared about the Nets, and we've even heard Anthony Davis come out and admit that the Lakers view the Nets as a viable threat to themselves. What's up, guys? SCJ here, and if you enjoyed today's video, then make sure to give it a like as it helps out a lot. And if you're new to the channel and or enjoy the NBA, then make sure to hit that subscribe button and notification bell. So with the Brooklyn Nets, it's truly been a strange start to their season, and it feels as if they've never really got a chance to see how their big three will look, at least on a consistent basis, that is. The Nets' James Harden trade was looming over the team's head over the first 12 games of the season, and when the trade finally did indeed go through, the Nets had to wait for Kyrie Irving to return back with the team, as he was sitting out at multiple games for personal reasons. While the team waited for Kyrie, Harden was putting up triple-doubles left and right, and KD was doing what KD does, and dropping 30 or 40 points like it was still nothing. The duo of just KD and Harden beat the Bucks, but when Kyrie returned, the team's struggles really began. They lost to the Cleveland Cavaliers in double overtime in their first game, with the big three all playing together. Then 2 nights later, they'd lose to the Cavs again, as KD sat out to rest after playing 50 minutes 2 nights earlier against the Cavaliers. Once Durant returned, though, things looked all fine and well as the team started rattling off wins against some solid and good teams. Then the drama didn't even end there, as Durant was ruled out of the Nets game against Toronto and he couldn't start. He then entered the game, but he also got pulled out yet again due to the health and safety protocols, and he has been out ever since then, last Friday. The Nets' big three has only played 6 games together despite the Harden trade occurring nearly a month ago now. We still have no idea what the team will look like in terms of when talking on a consistent night-to-night basis. There's one stat, though, that we do know, and that's that as of right now, they have the worst defensive rating or have allowed the most points by their opponents out of any team in the entire NBA. They're not just the worst team in the league currently, though, in that category. As of right now, they have the worst defensive rating in all of NBA history in their 14 games played ever since making the James Harden trade. Yeah, that's safe to say that's pretty bad. However, we've still seen someone by the name of Anthony Davis come out and admit that the Lakers are nervous about playing the Brooklyn Nets, and they still view the team as a legitimate threat to themselves. Well, when we've seen the Nets play the 2 worst teams in the entire NBA, the Wizards and Pistons, both of those teams beat the Nets, and they both scored over 120 points against them. So why would Anthony Davis say this, and why do people still view them as one of the NBA's top teams? Well, that's exactly what I'm about to break down for you guys right now. This Brooklyn Nets team currently has a record of 15-12, and they're sitting in the Eastern Conference's 3rd seed. And ever since making the James Harden trade, or ever since he first suited up for the Brooklyn Nets, the team has an 8-6 record. Or if you want to include the game that they played without Harden on the day that they made the trade, they're 9-6 ever since January 13th. So that's not too bad, but that's obviously nothing special. So what is it about them that sticks out? Well, that would have to be their record against winning teams. That's because when it comes to the team's record overall in the season, in terms of when they're playing against a winning team or teams with a record above 500, the Nets are 7-3. 9 of the team's 12 losses come against bad teams. And ever since making the Harden trade, the team is 3-3 against winning teams. The only thing is that when all 3 players of the Nets' big three have started or played a complete game, it was only in 1 of those 6 games, and that was when they beat the Western Conference's first seed at the time, the LA Clippers. So we still have a lot to see, and we still have to wait to see what this team looks like when it comes to playing against the league's top teams with all 3 members of the Nets' big three playing together. However, they have a record of 5-1 overall, and their only loss was against the Cleveland Cavaliers in their first game together when Colin Sexton had a career night against them, and even with that, they still should have won the game, but turnovers and silly mistakes cost them that game late. Safe to say that the big three is pretty deadly when they're all out there on the floor together for a complete game. One other crazy stat that the team has accumulated over the last 14 games, aka ever since making the Harden trade, is that they're scoring the most points of any team in the entire league, and not just that, the most points of any team in the entire history of the NBA. I guess that's one way to make up for your historically terrible defense. One of the other reasons that this Nets team is still looked at as a threat, though, is that according to NBA insiders, the Nets aren't finished making trades, signing free agents, or just trying to fill out their roster. That's something I do gotta believe with how many signings they're still making, such as recently signing Norvel Pelle, Iman Shumpert, and Noah Vonleh. We've heard the Nets being linked to many players elsewhere that would be nice additions to the team as well, such as JJ Redick, who would be a big addition for them, as Landry Shamet has been an extreme disappointment for the Nets this season, and his three-point shooting could really help bolster their offense even more. And they've also been linked to many big men who could help their defensive issues, such as Aaron Baines, JaVale McGee, Kevin Love, and Andre Drummond. I'm not sure if the team will trade for any of these players or if they'll be able to sign them if any of these guys end up hitting the free agent market or the buyout market later this season. But according to the Ringer insider Kevin O'Connor and the Athletic insider Zach Harper, they feel that Drummond will be a member of the Nets by the time the playoffs come around, and Harper went as far as to say it's only a matter of time before Drummond ends up in Brooklyn. So this Nets team, without a doubt, has their flaws, and boy, are they massive. However, this team has gotten some impressive wins over teams such as the Clippers when all three members of their big three were playing, the Bucks with just both Harden and Durant, and most recently they beat the Indiana Pacers with just Irving and Harden, as well as the Nets playing their second game of a back-to-back on that night. It seems that their offense is making up for their historically bad defense at the moment, and the team is 5-1 when each member of the big three starts the game. But if the team is able to make improvements on the defensive end, as well as pick up players they're rumored to pick up and they're linked to in order to help their defense, they might not be in too bad a shape. As of right now, I probably still wouldn't put my money on the Brooklyn Nets to be the 2021 NBA champs, but if they're able to improve and make the necessary adjustments, my mind might change a few months from now. I want to know, though, what you guys think about the Nets' big three, their defensive issues, or anything else having to do with the team down below in the comment section. Like mentioned before, though, if you like this video, then make sure to give it a like as it helps out a lot. And if you're new to the channel and or enjoy the NBA, then make sure to hit that subscribe button and notification bell. That way you stay up to date with my newest content. Anyway, though, guys, I'm SCJ, and I am out. Peace.